Good morning, everyone. Stacey Alcorn here. Thank you for joining me this morning for part 3 of our 5-part program called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. So many of you have spent the last couple of weeks with me going through this program. Again, this is part 3 of our program. And the whole idea of the program, as I've mentioned in the past classes, is that many of you want to break out of where you've been in your business and your life for the past year, the past 5 years, the past decade. And this is the truth, that especially in real estate, if you are a $50,000 a year earner, the truth is 10 years from now, you'll probably still be a $50,000 a year earner. So you live up to who you believe yourself to be in your own head. So that's all great if you're happy with your goals, but what happens if you want a better life for yourself? What is the difference between you and the person that's earning $1 million a year? And we have some of those at our own company. So what's the difference between you earning $50,000 a year and the agent that's earning $1 million a year? And what I will tell you is 99% of the difference is what is going on mentally in your heads. So if you want a different or better life, you have to become a different person in your head. So today in part 3 of the program, we are going to talk a lot about what we say to ourselves. The one person we talk to all day, every day is ourselves. When we're driving around in the car, when we're sitting working on a project, even when we're like sitting at a doctor's office waiting for an appointment, like the one person we're talking to all day, every day is ourselves. And what I just said a few minutes ago is that if you want to break out of who you've been for the past decade and become a better version of yourself, you have to mentally become a better version of yourself inside your head all day. So today we're going to talk about breaking out of the person you've been through the self-speak, the messages you've been telling yourself. Now, I want to start with, where did the thoughts and the person that we talk to all day, where did all those thoughts even come from to begin with? And what I will tell you is that there have been studies which show that by the time we are 18 years old, we've been told no an average of 148,000 times. So we've been told what we can't do, what we shouldn't do. Don't talk to strangers, don't do this. We have been cautioned up until we're 18 years old. We've been cautioned 148,000 times. So now, why is it when I'm 46 years old that I am pre-programmed to think that I can't do things, that I can't become president of the United States, I can't earn $5 million a year, I can't do all these things? The reason is because we were programmed that way from the time that we were children. In the alternative, how many times do you think the average person is told that they can do stuff, that they can be anything that they want, that they can do anything? By the time they're 18, it's basically a few thousand times, if you're very, very lucky. So the average person, by the time they're 18 years old, has been told 148,000 times that something is not possible for them. And in the alternative, maybe a couple thousand times they've been told yes, that things are possible. So where all this programming comes from for many of us is it came from our childhood and our parents. According to leading behavior research, the average person thinks negative thoughts 77% of the time. That is worry, that is anxiety, worried about stuff that happened last week, worried about where we're going, worried about can I achieve what I want to achieve. 77% of the time, our thoughts are fear and worry. And by the way, if you think about all the stuff that we talked about in the last 2 programs on Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, think about this. The first whole class that we did was all about how our thoughts can change things into things. We have the ability through our thoughts to create things. And so in addition to what I'm going to talk about today and all these negative thoughts you're having, what I want you to know is that you're manifesting a life with negative thoughts. So if 77% of the time the stuff we're thinking about is negative, then you should not be surprised that you are not achieving the big, hairy, audacious goals that you have for yourself, because what you manifest is what is going on in your head all day. So the stories of your life are manifested from what's going on in your head. Stories in your head become the stories of your life. So how successful you will be at anything is inexorably tied to the words and beliefs about yourself that you have stored in your subconscious mind. And what is stored there for most of us, scary but true, was decided by someone else. By 18 years old, we have been pre-programmed by other people telling us what is possible for us or what is not possible for us. So like almost everything that is programmed into you was programmed by somebody, like mental programming you from the outside world for most of your life. So if you want to overcome and create a new and better life, you got to take charge of the programming that's going on in your own head. So think about it. Why is it that some accomplish nearly every task more easily than others, achieve their goals more readily, and live their lives more fully? Is it possible that the people who get everything they want in life have slightly better mental programming, or they have learned how to erase their old negative programming and replaced it with something better? And the answer is yes. Like the agent, if you want to be an agent that's earning $1 million a year in income, the only difference between you and somebody like a Dan O'Connell at our company who is earning over $1 million a year in income, the only difference between the two of you is the stuff that is going on in your own head. Because the stuff that's going on in your own head affects every aspect of your being. It affects how you deal with other people. It affects how you arrive and show up at events. It affects how you deal with a customer, how you take a phone call, if you take a phone call when it rings. All of it comes from this inner dialogue of what you're saying to yourself. So if you want better results, and by the way, it's not just about income. Let's say you want better marriage, or you want to attract the right partner in your personal life. All of it comes from how you arrive each day in your own life, and the words and the conversations you are having with yourself all day, every day. Where your mind goes, your life flows. So whatever you're thinking about, we said in earlier classes, you are broadcasting out to the world what you want to create in your life. And what we just learned is that 77% of what we're broadcasting is not very good. It's negative. So you will become what you think about the most. Your success or failure in anything large or small will depend on your programming, what you accept from others, and what you say when you talk to yourself. And think about this. Your brain simply believes what you tell it most, and what you tell it about you, it will create. It has no choice at all. So this is one of the reasons why how-to books don't really work. So if how-to books on like getting organized or delegating or how to be more accountable, how to take action now, goal setting, diet books, all of these books like don't necessarily work unless you work on the programming in your head first. So you can read like 50 self-help books a year and find that your life does not change. You still have the same life. You're still living in the same environment. You're still earning $50,000 a year as a real estate agent. All of it's the same, even though you keep reading these books. It's because something is not happening mentally inside of you. So the first place you have to start is what is going on mentally with what's going on in your head. Nothing is going to work. No book is ever going to help you. No class is ever going to help you unless the conversations going on inside your head are adjusted first. In a human being, The computer keyboard is the same as our five senses. So anything we hear, see, taste, touch, smell, or anything we say to ourselves gets programmed into our brain through our keyboard and our five senses. And as I mentioned, like, a lot of that came in from other people even before we were 18 years old. And it's scary stuff. I shared a story the other day when I was running this class as a webinar, and I said when I was a kid, I was told by like my third grade teacher that I had learning disabilities, and they put me in a special program for kids with learning disabilities. And what I will say now at 46 years old, I definitely don't feel I ever had a learning disability, ever. And I say, sadly, I think in the world today, with the way the education system works, that first of all, everybody does not learn the same way, but our education system is set up to train or to teach everybody one way, even though not everybody learns the same way. And what I said in our last class is, it is my belief that we have more teaching disabled teachers than we have learning disabled students. And so sadly, I grew up to think that I had these learning disabilities because I learned differently than most people. I will tell you now, like, I outread anybody that I know in the world. Definitely, I don't know anybody that reads as much as I do. I constantly suck in new information from books and classes, and definitely don't feel that I'm learning disabled. But what I'll say is, like, when you're planted with that as a kid, that you have learning disability, like, I definitely grew up believing I was stupid. And so you look for evidence all the time, and you believe any evidence that corresponds with that, which I'll talk about in a second. But like, if you're implanted with something as a 10-year-old that you are stupid, that sticks with you for like your entire life. Everything, like, that's a lens that everything in your life goes through. Every job you have, every mentor you have, every coach you have, like, everything gets run through this lens of, well, I have learning disabilities, or I'm stupid. Like, so you have to learn how to break out of those molds. First of all, identifying them, like identifying these weird beliefs that you have about yourself, where they came from, whether they're even true, because I'm going to tell you, most of the stuff you probably believe about yourself is probably not even true. I have said multiple times, what I believe is that I can be and do and have literally anything in the world. And much of that has come from the fact that I've been out and I've now interviewed 400 plus of like the coolest entrepreneurs in the world, like the Richard Bransons of the world. And what I learned from going out and doing that, they're no different than, they're just human beings, just like me, just like you. Like, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me, and it's possible for you. And the only difference between the people that achieve everything they want in life and us is that they believe they can. And that's what we're working on today, like getting to a point that you can identify the negative mental programming going on in your head and shifting it, making a difference, making small shifts, so that, like, to become $1 million earner, to attract the life you want, the partner you want, the relationships you want, the friendships you want. It's all going to start with the mental programming in your own head. And once you have the right mental programming, you're going to get all that stuff that you want. And by the way, I always say this to people as well. For some reason, like, most of us have this weird belief that in order to accomplish our dream, that we have to struggle for it. By the way, that's just like another limiting, like, pre-programming that we have in our heads. Like, you don't have to struggle to have what you want in your life. You don't have to, like, we wear it as like a badge that we go out into the world and say, yeah, I had an amazing week. I worked 80 hours a week this week. I worked from like 5 in the morning till midnight. And that's like weird mental programming too. Like, why can't you have literally everything you want and work 20 to 30 hours a week and earn $1 million a year and accomplish all the goals you want and have a wonderful marriage and a wonderful life? That is all possible. The reason people struggle is because they decide in their head that to be successful, they have to struggle. So that is all just weird mental programming. You got to get out of your head. Whatever thoughts you have programmed into yourself, or more likely have allowed others to program into you, are affecting, directing, or controlling everything about you. Like I said a few minutes ago, from the way you show up at appointments, to the way you conduct your daily life, your business, how you deal with your kids. From the day we're born, we have received a staggering amount of programming. We listen to what people tell us. Even worse, we believe what people tell us. And we show up every single day with this lousy, terrible programming in us. But the cool thing is, starting today, you could change all your programming. You could decide you're going to be the programmer of your own thoughts and your own life. You can dig down and figure out like where these negative thoughts and beliefs even were implanted, like believing for 35 or 40 years that you were learning disabled, and then one day saying, wait a second, is that really true? Like, do I really have learning disabilities? Or is it possible somebody screwed up 40 years ago and told me some wrong information? And for me, I look back at all those situations, like all these negative beliefs that I've had about myself, and I go back and I'm like, yeah, that's not even true. I definitely don't even have a learning disability. So as long as you and I allow others to program us in a way that fits their choosing, then we are out of control. We are captive to the whims of some unknown destiny, not quite recognizing that what hangs in the balance is the fulfillment of our own future. I've said in past classes that sadly a great deal of humanity believes that their life, that they're sitting on a bus and they're waiting to see where their life takes them. And that's really sad, because all of what we want is within our own control. We could have everything. We actually drive the bus. You just got to realize that you're driving it first, and that you're the director of where you're going, because literally you can have whatever you want. Anything that you could possibly even dream of is possible for you. But first we got to work on the programming that's going on in our head. From this day on, you can, if you choose, just change a little teeny bit to gain a lot. All we're going to ask you to do is change the way you think, and it will change everything about your life. So I said earlier, the one person we talk to all day, every day is ourselves. And so we talk to ourselves all day long. I also said that the more we believe about something, the more we will accept other ideas which are similar. We spend all day seeking out proof of our own beliefs, which is scary if those beliefs were not injected into you by yourself, that somebody else injected a belief, and then we seek out proof of that belief all day, every day. So if you're like me and you were told when you were young that you had learning disabilities, and if you were like me, you took that to mean that you were stupid because you were something lesser than all the other kids that could learn at a different level or a different way than you, so you took that to mean you were stupid, then you will spend a great deal of your life seeking evidence that you're stupid. So when evidence comes along and that you're not that smart, you easily believe it. However, when contrary evidence comes along, because it doesn't fit in with your belief about yourself, you quickly throw it out. So like an example would be like growing up when you got a really good grade, or something really good happened in one of your classes, you would be quick to like just dismiss it. Like, oh, that must have been like a fluke. Must have been a super easy exam if I did really well on it, because I'm not that smart. So we have to start, number one, programming ourselves, figuring out that like some of that old junk that's sitting in our head is not even true. start looking for evidence of the other way. Like, that's why one of the things that I'll say is I definitely grew up through school believing I was stupid because I had been told, I had been put into special classes for kids that have learning disabilities. And like every affirmation that I took in all the way through high school is that I was just not good at learning. And when I graduated high school, all my friends were going off to college, and I started applying for college too because all my friends were applying to college, and I literally got declined to every college I applied to, even UMass Lowell at the time, which I didn't even know was possible, that you could get declined to get into a state school. I managed to do it. And one day I was like, wow, I don't think I'm that stupid that I can't even get into any college. So I ended up going to community college for 2 years, and I said, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to try to prove that I'm not stupid. I'm going to try to prove to myself I'm not stupid. So I started taking classes, and like for the first time in my life, just trying to prove to myself that I was not stupid, which is what I believed all the way through high school. Because by the way, like when you believe you're stupid all the way through high school, you totally just disengage from everything. Like you're not interested in a class because why would I even try in a class? Because I'm stupid. So why would I even try to do well in a class? And that was me all the way through high school. Then I decided in college, I'm going to try to prove to myself that I'm not as stupid as I thought I was. So all through my 2 years at community college, I totally applied myself, and I started proving to myself I was not stupid and started doing really well. Then I ended up reapplying to all the schools I had applied to right out of high school, and even got like a full scholarship to Merrimack. I ended up also getting into Bentley. I didn't get a full scholarship to Bentley. I really wanted to go to Bentley, and I ended up going to Bentley for 3 years, which is where I got my bachelor's degree. I did get a bunch of scholarships to help get me through. But through that whole process, I started changing my own mental programming about myself to the point that then I started questioning, like, maybe I didn't ever have a learning disability, which is what I believe about myself today. But what I want you to be careful of is that the proof that you're seeking out every day, like really question everything, because you are seeking out proof of stuff that was programmed into you by somebody else. So don't be quick to believe that, like, oh yeah, I'm not that smart and I have proof of it. Like, start to question the original assumptions and say to yourself, all right, I'm going to believe that it is possible for me to earn $1 million a year as a real estate agent. I'm going to believe that I am an exceptional learner and that I have no learning disabilities. And then start seeking proof of that positive information instead of the negative stuff that you're seeking proof of. By the way, this is going to be a challenge because the longer you have bought a thought, the harder it is to change the belief. So if you have bought the fact, like, it becomes truer to you, even though it may have never been true to begin with. The fact that you have like a learning disability, that was never true for me. That's what I believed, but I believed it for 30 years. The longer you believe a belief, it becomes truer to you. So it's harder to break that belief. But I'm going to tell you, like, start questioning every single assumption you have about yourself, about what is possible for you. I don't care if you've been a real estate agent for the last 20 years and have always never been able to do more than 4 sales a year. I don't want you to believe that that's probably all I'm capable of doing. I want you to question every assumption. Start turning it into a positive assumption. Start looking for proof that you are better than you ever thought you were, that you are capable of more than you ever thought was possible for you. Start looking for proof that literally you can be and do and have anything. Because if you look close enough, you're going to see proof of that every single day. Little wins that you have where you'll be like, wow, if I could do that, then I could do this. And if I could do that, then I can do this. I want you to start identifying the negative self-talk that you have. So this is going to be very hard. You're going to have to step outside yourself a little bit, but I want you to, like, the negative stuff you say, these are some of the things we say. I can't, I'm terrible at remembering names. It's going to be another one of those days. I never have enough time. Everything I eat goes to my waist. Oh, it's a Monday. It's going to be a bad day. I'm too shy. Things never work out for me. I could never learn a second language. This is all BS that we have programmed into ourselves. When we say I can't, it's impossible. I'm not a salesperson. I always get sick this time of year. I can't ever lose weight. I'm always broke. I'm always late. If only I were smarter, taller, younger, or had more money. These thoughts go on in our head all day, every day. One small example of this, when I first read the book, What You Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter, which is what this whole class today is based on. When I first read that, I started questioning like every single assumption. So one simple little assumption I used to make is I used to wake up every day and say, there's like, I don't know how I'm going to get everything done today. And many of you often ask me, like, how do you get so much done? You seem to like be going in a million directions. How do you get so much done? And I always say, first of all, I wake up every day and I believe there's more than enough time in the day to get it all done. I'm going to get it all done today. So that is my belief. If you had asked me 10 years ago how I started my day, every day I would wake up and say, I'm never going to get it all done. I have a million things to do. I've overbooked myself, never going to get it all done. And guess what? I never got it done. Now I wake up every day with the assumption. I questioned that assumption and I said, I'm not going to believe that anymore. I'm going to believe that there's more than enough time every single day to get everything done. That's what I believe. And I get a lot done every day. And I pretty much always get everything that I set out to get done within a day. But question every assumption you make. Like, ask yourself, is there really not enough time in the day to get stuff done? What if I flipped that on its head and woke up every day and said, yeah, there's more than enough time? So many people this time of year are like, yeah, I always get sick this time of year. Always, like January, February, I always get sick. Guess what? You believe that? You will get sick this time of year. You believe that you're terrible at remembering names? Flip that on its head and say, what? I'm like amazing. I'm actually amazing at remembering names. And guess what? You'll start to attract that in your life. But you have all these negative things that you tell yourself about yourself, and you have to start questioning those assumptions. We have these chain reactions that happen within ourselves. So the programs that we have inside of us, many of those programs inserted by some other human being, that programming creates a belief. Like, it becomes instilled in our being, that it becomes a belief, like the belief that I'm stupid. Those beliefs create attitudes. So then we now adopt an attitude about our life because of the belief we have. Those attitudes create feelings. The feelings that we have then determine our actions we take on a daily basis, and those actions create results. It all starts with the programming. I said earlier, the way you think about yourself in your own head affects every single fiber of your being, to how you show up, to how you answer the phone. Like, it all starts with this chain reaction we create within ourselves. So how do we change it? It comes down to our self-talk. Self-talk is a way to override our past negative programming by erasing or replacing it with conscious, positive, new directions. We're going to replace it and say, you know what? I have more than enough time to do everything I want today. Self-talk is a practical way to live our lives by active intent rather than passively accepting the fact, all these facts that I just said. Most of us passively accept the fact that there's not enough time in the day, that we get sick this time of year, we're terrible at remembering names, we're terrible at networking, I'm not a salesperson. Like, we passively accept it. I'm going to tell you that to change and to create the life you want, now is the time that you have to flip all that on its head and start telling yourself a different story. Self-talk statements paint a new internal picture of ourselves as we would most like to be. Self-talk gives us a way to change what we would like to change, even if we haven't been able to do so in the past. It offers us the chance to stop being the old self and start to become a different, better self, a self that is no longer a product of this conditioned response, but personally choosing the way we think, our attitude, our beliefs, and the actions we take. Quickly, I just want to talk about the 5 different levels of self-talk there are. Level 1, self-talk, is where many people live all day, every day. It is the least beneficial level of self-talk. It is the most harmful. This level is about negative acceptance. You accept something that is negative about yourself, that I can't remember names. I'm not a salesperson. I'm shy. I can't attend events. I can't network. That level 1 self-talk creates a get-by life. You get seduced into a mediocre life. Level 2 self-talk is I need to, I should. This is also negative acceptance. Instead of giving birth to dreams and accomplishments, this self-talk creates guilt, disappointment, and acceptance of our own inadequacies. Level 3 self-talk, I never or no longer. So this is where we start to move out of the negative and start to create a new and better mental picture of our own lives. It is the first level of self-talk that works for you instead of against you. Like, I no longer enjoy smoking. Remember that your subconscious is going to believe anything you tell it long enough and strongly enough. So whatever you want to create in your life, you have to start the self-talk, start creating the self-talk today to create the life that you want. The best self-talk there is the I am statement. This is the level where you begin to paint a picture of the life you want to lead. This is where you tell your subconscious, this is the me that I want to create. I am. And I've shared with you some of the self-talk that I tell myself on a daily basis. I tell myself I am a billionaire in the making. So I am, some of the other things I tell myself on a daily basis through affirmations is I say, today I'm going to meet the right people at the right time for the betterment of my business and my life. I say that to myself probably 50 times a day. Today I'm going to meet the right people at the right time for the betterment of my business and my life. I tell myself that all day, every day, and all day, every day, these people just show up in my life at the right time for the betterment of my business and my life. And level 5 self-talk, which is the best of all, is it is. This is a knowingness. This is like living the life in your head that you are creating even before your environment shows that you have it. This is like just an absolute knowing. So people, like, I always say to people, my goal is like, I'm building the #1 real estate brand in New England. We will be helping 20,000 families a year buy and sell real estate as the #1 real estate brand. Someday you'll go to Fenway Park and you're going to see the Laird logo on the green monster at Fenway. Like, I know it from every fiber of my being. It's not a question. It's not like, I hope I'm going to build the #1 real estate brand in New England. It is like, I know with every fiber of my being the life I am creating and the business that I am creating. So it goes beyond like a I am statement to like, it already exists. Like the business, the #1 real estate brand in New England, like Laird as #1 already exists in a different like time spectrum. We're just attracting it. Like we're in the process of attracting it right now. What I want you to think about is your mental apartment. Here's a before and after picture of an apartment. What I want you to think is your head. What is your brain right now is your mental apartment, and it is full of like furniture and knickknacks and BS and stuff that other people put into your apartment. You can create your own mental apartment, your own life, like whatever you want for your life, you have the ability to create. It is your personal responsibility to create the life you want. We take our first breath ourselves. We take our last breath alone. No one is ever going to breathe for you. No one will ever think thoughts that are yours. No one will ever stand in your bodies. Experience the experiences of your life. They will never feel your fears, dream your dreams, cry your tears. We are born, live, and live this life entirely on our own. That self and the spirit which drives it are what we have. That's all we have. No one else can ever live a single moment of our lives for us. That we must do for ourselves, and that is our personal responsibility. External success cannot happen without internal success. It goes back to like, why are there are a million self-help books, and the self-help section at the Barnes & Noble continues to grow, because none of that is going to work. None of it. I said at the very beginning in the first class we did, I said, you want to be the #1 real estate agent, you want to make $1 million a year, none of that is going to happen unless you become a different person in your head. You have to create a new personal reality. In order to do that, you will need a new personality, and all of that starts with the conversations that are happening in your head. The more successful you become inside, the more success you will automatically create on the outside. Today, I want you to start noticing the voices in your head. When you're driving, when you're showering, when you're just chilling out, I want you to start noticing the voices, the things that you say to yourself. When you're getting ready and you're looking in the mirror every day, what is it that you are saying to yourself about yourself? And be careful of this. One of the things I've noticed ever since I had a daughter 9 years ago is the stuff I say about me, about the way I look and like my body, like the stuff I would always say about me was so negative. And one day I saw my daughter watching me get ready when I was complaining about myself, saying nothing ever looks good on me, everything, I look fat and everything. Like, I was like, oh my God, first of all, like the stuff I say to myself, I would never say to another human being. It's like the most awful things I was saying to my own self that I would never say to somebody else, that they look fat, nothing looks good on them. Not only that, I was saying it to me, and I had this little girl who is like watching me say negative stuff to me about me, that now I'm going to create a kid that's like, oh, if my mom thinks she doesn't look good, well, I definitely don't look good either. So like, be careful, because what you're saying is also affecting the people around you who watch what you're saying about you. And they think if you believe that about you, then they should believe that about themselves. This brings us to how your friends talk about themselves. I've said before, you are the average of the people you spend a great deal of time with. If you hang out with people that are constantly negative about themselves and what is possible for them, because they believe that about them, you're going to tend to believe what is possible for you because of what the people around you believe about themselves. So be super careful about who you hang around with and what they say about themselves. I shared a story at my last class where I said, last year, so 2017, I ran the Boston Marathon. I had very little time to train for it. I do enjoy running, not marathon running. I do enjoy running in the summer, like a couple, 3 or 4 miles, just to eliminate stress. I never run in the winter because I hate the cold. So typically I'll run some throughout the summer. I'll do yoga. I'll go running sometimes, but not like a marathon runner. And in February of 2017, I have a family that runs an amazing foundation in honor of their 6-year-old boy who passed away from cardiomyopathy. And they asked me as a favor to run the marathon for their organization. My first thought was absolutely not. I have not run in 4 months. I'm not prepared to run a marathon. I tried to help them find somebody to run the marathon because they needed another runner. Could not find somebody. Finally, I said, you know what? I have to say yes to this. I basically had about February, March. I basically had like 10 weeks to train for it, starting from zero because I hadn't run in several months. So I committed to it. I said, okay, I'm committing. I said yes to the Boston Marathon. The first thing I did is I had to become a marathoner in my own head. I had to think of myself as a marathoner. So I would be like, all right, I wonder how other marathoners would look at, like, what you eat. Like if I was a marathoner, what would I eat in the morning before I get ready? If I was a marathoner, like I wouldn't wake up and be like, oh, bummer, I have to run 7 miles today. No, I'd be like, psych, I get to run 7 miles today. So anything that you're looking to accomplish in your life, like you have to become that person in your own head first. So I will tell you, I became a marathoner in my own head, and I did complete the Boston Marathon 10 weeks later. So one of the ways to start attracting and start believing and start creating the life you want is, number one, living gratitude. So like when it comes to the marathon, like I'd wake up every morning for those 10 weeks and I'd be like, I feel so fortunate that I get the opportunity like to run the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is a historic event and I get to be a part of it. And like I attracted this awesome thing in my life, and every day I would look at all the reasons why I was so thankful that I got the opportunity. By the way, it was also one of the most stressful times in my life because my business partner and I had split up. He was no longer going to be part of the business, so I was entering a new phase of my business where I'd be running the business by myself for the first time in like a decade. And I would look at it and be like, wow, I'm so thankful that not only am I going through this stress in my business, but I get to alleviate the stress because I'm doing these long runs, which would not have happened if I hadn't been training for the marathon. So you got to start looking, basing everything on gratitude. So if you want to earn more money, start by giving yourself 3 weeks of self-talk about how capable you are to earn more money. Your value as a real estate agent will increase on the outside once your value of yourself as a real estate agent increases on the inside. So some great things to tell yourself on a daily basis. I work hard and I know I'm worth it. On hard days like this, I love myself more than ever. There's nobody else in the world like me. That is my magic. I'm like the one and only. Real estate affirmations. I win every listing I want. I attract the right clients effortlessly. Real estate business falls into my lap wherever I go. Like literally wherever I go, real estate falls into my lap. These are the thoughts you have to be having. These are the conversations you should be having with yourself every day. I am the top agent in my office. My clients are so lucky to have someone like me advocating for them. I am a miracle magnet. That's a great one I took from Liz Lutz. Liz is a huge producer from Philadelphia, and I interviewed her for one of my podcasts on Lair University. And she wakes up every day and she reminds herself she's a miracle magnet. All she does all day, every day, is attract miracles. And aren't we all? But the only way you can actually do that is you got to believe that you attract miracles. Be super careful of bad affirmations. One bad affirmation I had, I've shared this story in the past, that when I was young in my 20s, I built a massive mortgage business, and like in my early 20s, I was flipping tons of real estate. I owned 2 houses. I built myself a beautiful house. I had a house by the ocean. I had beautiful sports cars. Like I was making money hand over fist as a 25-year-old kid. And remember, this is a kid that could not even get into a college when I graduated high school. All of it came from mental programming. Anyways, by the time I was 30 years old, I lost everything. So I did not file bankruptcy, but I came pretty close to it. I sold off all my real estate so that I could keep my real estate business, which was the one thing I treasured more than anything else that I owned, was my real estate business. And so I look back and I was like, what kind of bad mental programming? Like I went from not being able to get into any college to eventually like going to Bentley and getting a bachelor's degree at Bentley. By the way, I eventually went to law school and became an attorney as well. Like, how did I go from that? But also I lost everything financially, and a great deal of it was mental programming. So when I had it all, when I was making a ton of money as a 25-year-old kid, I used to tell myself all day, every day. I came from nothing, I'd be okay with nothing. I came from nothing, I'd be okay with nothing. Many of us have screwed up thoughts about the way we think about money, especially if you came from not a lot of money, like I did. So I used to tell myself, and what I was trying to tell myself is that like what I care about most in the world is great relationships and like strong friendships and seeing a rainbow or seeing a sunset. Like that stuff moves me more than making another dollar. So I used to try to tell myself I came from nothing. I'd be totally cool if I had nothing again. But by doing that, by telling myself that day in, day out, that was a conversation I had with myself all day, every day, I attracted it. By 30 years old, the universe is like, oh, okay, you're okay with nothing? We'll give you nothing. So one day I woke up, I had nothing. You got to start breaking these bad habits of self-talk. That's why today I tell myself I'm a billionaire in the making. What I believe is that I can do more good in the world as a billionaire than having no money at all. So I believe it's awesome to build big businesses, to become a billionaire. I know that I'm going to create massive change in the world, and it's going to be easier the more money I make. Start breaking those bad habits with your self-talk. When you find yourself like automatically saying no, somebody invites you out to go to an event or go to a new training program, you see something come across on our career den, a new class coming out, and oh, computer just died. That's all right. I was on the last slide. When you got to start trying to break out of the stuff, like when you would normally say no to something, say yes. Start trying to break out of the old habit of being you. I shared in the last class the story of Joe Porter, who is a phenomenal real estate agent out of our Chelmsford office. And when I first met Joe 10 years ago, she did a little bit of business. She probably sold 5 or 6 houses a year. Now she sells like 25 or 30 houses a year. When I first met Joe, she would not drive on the highway. She would never go to a networking event because she believed she was shy. She would never like record a video or anything like that. She had all these very limiting beliefs about herself. And today, that Joe Porter does not exist. She's a different human being than she was 10 years ago. Totally different human being. Because she became a different person through her own self-talk. Just like I am a different human being than the 17-year-old kid that could get into 0 colleges because I believed I was stupid. Like that is a different human being. So for you to accomplish whatever your goal is, and you must have a big goal because there's a reason why you've been participating in these 5 classes. It's going to end up taking 5 hours of your life to go through these 5 courses. That means there's something that you want that you think might be possible for you. I'm here to tell you it's 100% possible for you, but it's going to start with the mental programming. So the first 2 classes, we talked about the law of attraction and how it all works. This class today is about taking action. So where you're moving in the program now is like now is your opportunity to do something different. And the thing that's hard about this is it's so simple. Like for you to have the life you want and to attract everything you want in the world, you have to start changing the self-talk going on in your head. It is so simple to do. It is so simple to start noticing what you tell yourself every day. It is so simple to start questioning all the negative assumptions you have about yourself. However, all these things that are so simple to do are just as easy not to do. And that is the challenge with life in general. All the things that are easy to do are just as easy not to do. So I challenge everybody. My screen died, but the program, at the end of each class, I show you the 5 books that this program is based on. And today specifically, the book that I based a lot of the program on today is a book called What You Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And I encourage everybody, it's a really old book, but when you start going through it, all the examples they give, you're going to start reading it and say, wow, I say that about myself. And I do tell myself that there's not enough time in the day. I do tell myself that I'm terrible at remembering names. I do tell myself I'm not a great salesperson. So by reading that book, it's one step towards like really noticing your own negative thought patterns so that you can start changing them. So that is it for part 3 of Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day.